My name is Brittany Curran, and I work at Novareté in the business development. I'm joined by my colleague, Becky Horn, and she is our Chief Marketing Officer at Novareté. Today we have the privilege of hearing from two very exciting guests. The first is Mindi Sullivan. She's VP of HR at DWise, and will be sharing her experience with the Leadership Alignment Assessment and how it impacted her team. DWise offers data and process optimization services for life sciences and healthcare industries. We also have Paula Hunter. She's the operations manager at XSInc, a big data management company in agriculture. Paula kindly offered to share her XS employee engagement survey results and how that's impacted XS. We want to respect everyone's time today by ending this webinar promptly at noon. So if at any time you have any questions, please submit them in the chat. We will try to answer all of your questions at the end of this presentation. If we do not have enough time, we will follow up with answers to your questions by email, so please include your name with your question. This webinar is being recorded, so we'll send it out to you afterwards along with a copy of the slides. Before we jump into the assessments, a little background on Novareté. Novareté is a software solution that allows you to actually measure culture, employee engagement, and alignment to company values. It's a multifaceted approach that includes kudos recognition, a social platform, analytics, and dilemmas, among other things. We believe that culture drives performance and that values drive culture. Novareté helps employees engage and align to those values to create a strong culture. And it's not just us that thinks this. Research heavily supports that a values-based culture drives performance. A Harvard Business School study found some interesting data surrounding this idea, including culture's impact on revenue and employment. We heard a lot about the power of a strong culture at the conference too, which is how you met us. Each of you filled out this card and requested our complimentary Novareté Leadership Alignment Assessment or our complimentary Employee Engagement Survey. After talking with a few of you, we received a couple of questions that we thought would be helpful to address to everyone. The first is it really anonymous? And yes, it is. The survey is completely anonymous. Additionally, we ask you to forward the links to your survey and leadership assessment to your employees so we don't have to ask for their information. It is really free. Oftentimes we're asked, why don't you charge for these resources? The reason is we believe culture is really important, and at a minimum, we feel everyone should have the opportunity to at least be able to evaluate their culture's baseline. How long does my team have to complete it? 2 weeks. And this applies to any company that cares about their culture and wants to make a difference. All that's required is internet access. So anyone that has a leadership team interested in unifying the message at the top, or whether you're with government, nonprofits, SMBs, or a company with people on the floor, it's important to know, what your employees are feeling. The more people that respond, the more telling the results will be. In fact, several companies from the conference have already started these assessments.
And Brittany, this is Becky. Regarding the 2 weeks, that's from the time they send their link out. Is that right?
That's right.
So don't feel like the clock starts ticking as soon as we hang up today.
That's right.
Right. That once you send it out and we see that people are starting to respond, then we'll leave it open for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we do also contact you a couple days before that 2 weeks is up, just to make sure you've gotten everybody that you want to answer the questions. And if you need an extra day here or there, we're happy to work with you.
Great.
So now let's go ahead and jump in and look at the Novareté Leadership Alignment Assessment. This assessment is composed of 15 situational Novareté dilemmas that ask, what would you do in a given situation if you were living out the company values? Once completed, Novareté is able to map what you value based on those answers and then compare your values to your team. This gives you a statistical look at your leadership's alignment. And this is important because consistent tone at the top leads to aligned employees. And aligned employees have value-based behavior and expectations, which increases their own individual performance and company performance as a whole. The registration process for the assessment is pretty simple. You were sent this link already in a previous email, but the teamassessment.novareté.com, just go ahead and forward that to your leadership team, and they'll click register. Once they complete the registration, which there are additional instructions if needed in that email I sent earlier, they go ahead and just select dilemmas from the toolbar. And then they're presented with 15 dilemmas. Of course, they'll go ahead and read through them and submit their answers. Once your whole team is able to do this, the Novareté team will then map and compare each individual's what we call VQ, which is what they value, and we'll compile it into a report for you to send. This report has a couple of components. The first, you can see here, is a sample report. It includes all of the dilemma answers, and so you can see what the variance in answers is and what the different perspectives are of the leadership team. We also include each individual VQ, which is a representation of what each person values based off of what was tested within the 15 dilemmas. We then take those VQs and compare them to the aggregate, your team's VQ, and you're able to see statistically how you align. So you can see here that user 1 is 83% aligned to the team. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Becky to talk with Mindy about her experience using the Novareté Leadership Alignment Assessment.
Great. Thank you, Brittany. That was a great introduction. And thank you, Mindy, for joining us today. And before we talk about the Leadership Alignment Assessment at your company, DWISE, why don't we set the stage for everyone and just start with a general question, which is, how would you describe the culture at DWISE?
So I would describe the culture at DWISE as one with an entrepreneurial spirit, and because of recent rapid growth in the company, we're really refining and creating and establishing our core values and where we want to go and where we want to be with our culture.
Great answer. What interested you about the Leadership Alignment Assessment? In other words, what were you looking for when you decided to do it?
So we were really looking for something that would provide evidence to support what we really knew already from an anecdotal perspective. The folks on our leadership team are quite data-oriented, and so we really wanted to have some information put in front of us that would help us understand from that data perspective whether we were aligned or not.
Good. And when you think about alignment and if you were aligned or not, why was that important for you? What was the reason that you were looking for this area of misalignment possibly?
Yeah, well, it may sound a little cliche to say this, but the idea of having a unified message from the top rolled out across the organization is really critical to every organization, and we found that to be really critical at DWISE, and we felt like we weren't there.
Mm-hmm. And if you could get there and get everybody on the same page.
Yes,
Yes, the power that are rowing in the same direction, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And you're a member of the leadership team, and you completed the Leadership Alignment Assessment. How easy, just let everybody know, how easy was it to register and to get to the dilemma questions?
It was very easy, quite easy.
And
yes.
You clicked on the link that Brittany sent you in an email, and
yes.
There were a few instructions, and there you go.
Yeah, you create your credentials, and you're off and running.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty easy. When you got to the dilemmas, did you know how to answer them? Was it intuitive, or did you feel frustrated and confused?
Definitely not. They were intuitive in terms of how I wanted to respond to the questions. They weren't hard or confusing. Okay.
And for those dilemmas, these are situations that you're placed in, and you answered them in the context of the values of DWISE. And then by reading them, thinking about each of the responses and select them, how long did it take you to answer those 15 dilemmas?
On average, it was about 1 minute per dilemma. Okay. And I know that because we're very sensitive to time at DWISE, and I know that from people participating that it was about 1 minute per dilemma.
I think that's good for people attending to know that if you put this leadership alignment assessment in front of your executives, one, it's not going to take much of their time. and two, that once they get there, it's not going to be a frustrating or difficult experience.
Not at all.
Okay.
I think we had a lot of fun with it, actually. So.
That's good to know. We rolled up the results. We here at Novareté, we rolled up the results and gave you the report from those responses that your executive team gave us. What type of insights did you gain from the information in that report?
There were a significant amount of insights that you can gain from the reporting, and the biggest thing was that as much time as our executive team spends together and has talked through what we believe are the behaviors for our core values and our culture, there was still a misalignment, and we could see that in the reporting very clearly.
Were they surprised by that?
I think there was some surprise by it, yeah.
But at least you knew it, and it was the data speaking rather than anecdotes.
Exactly.
I mean, the anecdotes are kind of what got you there, but
yeah.
then you were able to measure that degree of misalignment. And then once you had it, what action did you take with that information?
Well, we actually saw the need to and desire to roll it out to the rest of the organization because we wanted to understand where the gaps were with our employees and the culture alignment.
When you think about the dilemmas with respect to the leadership team, they responded to the questions, saw the misalignment. Was there any opportunity to go back to the questions and re-examine them kind of one by one and see why people picked the different answers that they did?
Yes, yes.
I think that's important too, that the leadership team has a chance to act on the information. And then you took it the next step, which is to roll Novareté out to all the employees. Why roll it out to all the employees? Why not just stop with the executive leadership team?
Because really the fact that we spend as much time together as a team and we had misalignment, we felt like it was really important to understand and reinforce responses and behaviors with our employees. So we wanted them participating. We wanted them aligned.
You're a client-facing organization, aren't you?
That's correct.
And so the importance of knowing how aligned the employees were with respect to values was just as important as the leadership team, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Did you use it as you looked at Novareté for the rollout for your employees? Was there anything else there regarding the social nature of it or the kudos system that you thought might also be beneficial for DYs?
Yeah, we absolutely were at a place where we wanted to have something that was much more social and allowed us to, especially with remote employees, to interact with one another and have some kudos and recognition, be that easy to do.
You know, you brought up a really good point there that with remote employees, oftentimes I think they probably sometimes feel out of sight and out of mind.
Yes.
And to have a social hub a private social hub that people can come to for their, just for them is important to keep everybody humming as a team, isn't it?
Yes.
You're one of the 9 executives on the leadership team. How did you get the other 8 executives to participate in this assessment?
I took a little different approach with a few that are not so numbers oriented. That's not too many people on the team, but it was more of a grassroots kind of thing and expressed the importance of it. And I thought this could be a game changer in terms of our culture and alignment with our culture. And then those that are really financially focused, I was able to share and make business case for why I thought we should go with the Novareté platform.
You know, I don't know exactly everyone that's on the call today, but I imagine some of them aren't on the leadership team, or they may not be the VP of HR in their company. For those that are on the call that are, say, middle manager or HR professionals of some type, what would you recommend to them? They're obviously interested in the leadership alignment assessment. They're not the top executive in HR. What advice would you give them to help them get this leadership team focused on this assessment?
Yeah, so I would take a similar approach that I did in terms of you know the people that you work with the best, and I would use some of the business case information on that Novareté provided me. I mean, there's plenty of evidence to support the culture alignment and what that does in terms of profit for your company, and so I would be very inclined to use those resources to put in front of leadership.
Right. And also for these people that are middle managers, they, I guess, could make the appeal too that when they talk to their executive team, they would like to receive consistent answers.
Yes.
And
yes.
so even from their perspective about how, one of the cases they could make is how valuable it would be to themselves.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. One last question here, Mindy. If the people on the call or their head of HR wanted to talk with you about your experience at DUIs, would you be willing to receive a call or an email from them?
Yes, absolutely. And I say that because this will make a difference. It has made a tremendous difference. It's very, it's just very empowering, and it's going to win you a lot of cool points.
I'll just add to that we have at least a couple of white papers also that could help you make your case. So, you know, for anyone that's on the call today, just get back to Brittany or me, and we can get those to you as well. So, Mindy, thank you very much for your comments there. And Brittany, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about the employee engagement survey.
Great. And, Mindy, that was great. Thank you so much. So now as we focus on the employee engagement survey, it's a survey that measures the health of your company's culture using 15 questions that collects employee feedback. And understanding the level of engagement from your employees is important because it affects a ton of different KPIs, including financial indicators, turnover, customer satisfaction, and quality. So for the employee engagement survey, similarly, I've sent you all a link already. It's a unique link that will lead to your unique survey. You're going to want to go ahead and forward that to your employees and just have them answer the 15 questions. Once all of your employees are finished, the Novareté team will calculate your culture health score and send the report. With this report, we'll provide you with your overall culture health score, and you can see what we're looking at here is actually XSInc's report, and we appreciate Paula for allowing us to use her actual report to see some line numbers here. And they are doing absolutely fantastic. They have an overall health score of 4.3 out of 5, and after using Novareté for 5 years, you can see that their culture score is a 4.8 out of 5. So that is awesome. Way to go there. You can also see on this report that we break it out into 5 different areas of focus. So not only do you have your overall score, but you can see how you're doing in communication and transparency, recognition, engagement, community, and then culture. Within the report, we also provide areas that you're doing well and some areas that we suggest you might want to work on, and also give you the generational makeup of the survey respondents. The report will include each answer's breakdown on an individual level. So each question you'll be able to go through and see what the responses were and then also how you're doing. And so this is an example of one of those. We won't go through every one of XS's responses, but you can see here you get a feel of, okay, what was the distribution and how does that rank? Are you doing well? Is this an area you need to work on, and so on and so forth. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Becky so she can talk with Paula about how this survey really impacted XS.
Well, first of all, wow, those are outstanding results, Paula, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to start at the same place we did with Mindy to just ask you to kind of set the stage for us. So thinking about XSInc and your company, how would you describe the culture there?
Well, I've been at XS for over 12 years, so I've seen the without Novareté and with Novareté, so I've got both perspectives going. But XS is a really close-knit community of people. We love working together. Everyone here takes their job really seriously, but at the same time we have a lot of fun. So we really enjoy hanging out together, being inside and outside of work. So it's not just within the walls of our business. So it's just a great place to be.
Well, sounds like a place we'd all like to work. Paula, why is it important to have engaged employees, meaning people that are passionate about the mission and values of XSInc? Why is that important, and what does it mean?
Well, to me, it means that people feel like they're a part of something that's bigger, and they don't just look at a task at hand and measure their success off a task. I've played sports my whole life, so I'm going to use a sports analogy, and maybe some of you can relate. but we always said that you play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey. And taking that to the business world, it's you play, you're coming to work for the team, for the organization, and not for who you are as an individual. But if you come and you do those things, then you're engaged in the company, you're part of the culture, and your individual success shines through that because you're playing for the team, not for yourself.
Well said. Thank you for that. Paula, you completed the employee engagement survey. How easy was it to complete that survey?
I found it really simple. I just clicked on a link, answered like 15 questions, and they were all on a scale of like 1 to 5, so it was really straightforward, and it was just putting your honest answer in there.
You didn't have to write an essay.
I didn't have to write any essays or comments or anything.
Okay, that's good. So all in all, when you step back from it, how long did it take you to answer the survey?
I would say like less than 5 minutes. Like it was really quick.
Okay. I'm sure people on the call are interested in that too, because if they send this out to all their employees, they want to know what sort of obligation they might be placing on people. And if it's less than 5 minutes, I think all of us would agree that if you could ask your teammates to give you less than 5 minutes each to get this kind of insight, it would certainly be worth it.
Absolutely.
So great on that. So Paula, again, we here at Novareté, we rolled up the results of the employee engagement survey and gave you a report for XSInc, your private one. What insights did you gain from that report?
So we had a couple of challenges that were revealed through the report so that we can now know that we can focus on those things. We had a lower than ideal percentage of employees saying that they would volunteer for committees or extracurricular activities. And so that's something that's really important to us, and we do a lot of that at XS. So seeing that number was not, it wasn't a terrible number, it was just not the 4.0 that we wanted. And so we were able to focus, and we have goals in Q2 of this year to go out and use Novareté, their pulse check, to see why does people not do that. Like, what is causing it? Is it because they don't feel empowered to? Is it because they have too much work and they don't have extra time to do those things? And just digging deeper and understanding what caused the scores to be lower. We also had an area where they said they didn't use their mobile devices to stay connected with the company. And I think that really this is on us to make sure that the people know that there's an app that they can use for Novareté. And so when people come into the company, we have lots of new hires. We're constantly hiring, making sure that's the message that we're telling people from day one when they start, that that's an available resource for them. So then we also had some great, strong things that came out that showed us how well we were doing and solidified some of the things that we already thought. We weren't surprised at all that we got a 4.9 for our company values, because we've been using Novareté for 5 years, and the values are there. You have to pick it. You have to be able to relate it to what you're doing on the website. And so we got a 4.9 in that, and I think that's just really because it's ingrained in our everyday use of the tool. And so we got a 4.9 in that. It was great. Having a good sense of the culture and if they fit here was also one of our high scores at a 4.8. We use Novareté for new employee bios as well as interest groups. So we get the opportunity for people to go in and learn more about the individuals. And so they can, when they said they fit in, I think they mean like they have friends. They have people who like to go rock climbing with them. They have people they can talk about cooking, or strange people like me that have food allergies, and there's other people here that have them too, and so we can talk about good places to go shop to buy things that are different. And so I think that was part of the I fit in and I know more about people than just what job they do at XS. And then people that are willing to go above and beyond on their day-to-day work, we got a 4.8 in that, which is also extremely high, and we're very pleased with that. We want employees to come in that are willing to work and get the job done. And I think it goes back to what I was saying in the front of the interview of you're working for the name on the front of your jersey. You're coming to work not for you, but for the team and for the people you work with. And that is exactly what that says, is people come here doing that every day.
So Paula, when you think about those scores, obviously, they point out some incredible highlights there. How else would you have known how extraordinary that your company was in those areas if you hadn't had a way to measure it?
we wouldn't have known that. Like having the tool to you guys coming back to tell us, we thought we were doing good at that, but this just says you absolutely are. Like you're making the right steps and you're doing the things you need to know. So we wouldn't have had that information for sure.
Before you had Novareté, was it? Do you think that if you'd stopped just the casual person out in the hall, that they could have told you what your values were?
I think they would have got a couple of them, but definitely not all of them. And I do think now it's, you know, it's just how we are. We do have, you know, them posted around the office just like all other companies probably do, but that was always there, and it didn't make a difference. But having them part of the day-to-day life of an employee has made a big difference.
Kind of related to that, you have great scores. What are you doing to create such an outstanding culture at XS?
So I think we do all the traditional things that normal companies would do. You know, we have, like I said, the goals hanging on the wall. We have employee meetings. We participate in fun stuff. But, you know, Novareté has allowed us, and we also have Novareté TV. So we have big TV screens all around the office that has Novareté up, and it has all these things where people can read it in the break room and in the hallway. And so over the past 5 years, we've integrated all these things. Do we want to keep going here?
There's music.
If you can, please make sure all of your phones are on mute. We appreciate that. Thank you.
So what it does is it allows everyone to see it day to day. The kudos system is one of my favorite things, and it allows peers to recognize peers. It allows people to go across teams and recognize each other. And it also allows individuals to understand their contribution is on the bigger picture.
Right.
And giving a kudos is just really simple and something that's easy to do, and it just doesn't take much time to give someone that extra value. And another one of my favorite aspects is the social pages. It allows employees to share information about coming events. It allows everyone to interact within XS, but also like putting things that you're doing in the community. Like there's this cool thing going on this weekend. Did you guys know about it? It's great that the teams can interact in this manner without having to like send emails to everybody, because no one wants 70 emails in their inbox every day. So having a way that people can still talk and share pictures and events throughout the throughout the device without having to get an email is really good for us.
That's great. And let me just ask, can everybody still hear us? Just give us a ping on the chat. Just say yes if you can hear us. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, Paula, your scores were so good, we wanted to put some glory music on there.
That was it.
You were talking about the superlatives, so thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate that. For the people that are listening that don't have a way to measure culture, what would you recommend for them as the next step?
Well, the first thing they really need to do is understand their employees, because you can't do anything else if you don't understand the employees. So what are they thinking? What motivates them? How do they feel? Why do they come to work? It's an easy way to start this is to take that employee engagement survey that we took. It establishes a baseline, and that way you can see your cultural strengths and your challenges as well. And once those are all identified, you can come up with an action plan, and then you can roll out something with culture analytics like Novareté, so you can measure against your goals over time as well as measure your culture. So it's really just, you got to understand your people first.
Understand your people, and then get your baseline, and at least know what you're working for.
Absolutely.
And then you can start to take action of all sorts of ways, right?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Well, Paula, thank you so much for that explanation and the discussion. That was great, and congratulations to you and the team at XS for your incredible culture there and sharing that. And I guess I'll ask you the same question. For the people that are on the call, if they would like to know more about building a strong culture in their own companies, would you mind receiving a call or an email from them?
No, they can absolutely reach out to me.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And when Brittany concludes this, everybody will get a copy of the slide deck, and that has Paula's and Mindy's contact information in it. So that's a generous offer from both of you to help the people on the call here. So again, this is Becky Horn, and I'm just going to conclude and wrap up for us here. Then we'll turn it over to some questions. But first, just to kind of conclude, we hope that this discussion has been valuable for everybody, that everybody got something from it. You were able to hear from two companies that have used the Leadership Alignment Assessment and the Employee Engagement Survey and were able to administer it easily, that they got easy to understand reports, and I guess more importantly that once you get those reports, that the information is immediately actionable with your team. So please take advantage of that and get on the path to creating a stronger corporate culture where you are. With the Leadership Alignment Assessment, leaders can see areas where they're misaligned. They can start to close those gaps and begin to give more consistent messages to employees. And as we said, when everybody's rowing in the same direction, you're going to get stronger performance. And with the Employee Engagement Survey, you can see areas to improve your culture and take action. And not only just the soft spots, but also those areas that are going really well, you want to accelerate those and keep making a difference. And plus, it's nice to know and to say to your employees where the company is doing really well. So a lot of this is information that you can share with the whole team. And then, you know, when it comes down to it, this is important because, and the reason we do this is because companies that have a values-based culture will outperform companies that don't have a values-based culture every time. It has been documented, and Brittany showed you a section from a Harvard Business School study, and we have 13 or 16 resources on our website that talk about the importance of a values-based culture and how it relates to important KPIs. So net is it's something that you can control. It can be your competitive advantage, and when you have it, it can't be stolen or replicated. So all of you, please go ye forth and create the strongest culture you can for your company, because that's how you will make an even bigger impact than now. So again, feel free to reach out to any of us, Mindy, Paula, Brittany, myself, for any information or assistance that we can provide. Let us know if you'd like to receive our white papers related to culture and performance. We can get those to you. And we have one final offer we wanted to make to everybody on the call here today. As a thank you for joining us, you'll get an email from us offering you a private demonstration of Novareté so that you can see it in action, a live site, and determine if it would add value to your organization. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Brittany and just say, Brittany, do we have any questions coming in?
We had one come in, and the question is, can we receive SHRM credit for this?
You know, not at this time. We can talk with the Raleigh Wake organization as a starter to see if that's a possibility. We could review it with the curriculum people there. And we know those people. We could show them this webcast and ask if it would qualify for points and get back to everybody on that.
Great. There are also a couple people missed about the information about getting a demo and seeing the live site. Mm-hmm. So as a reminder, we're going to be sending out an email to everyone here, and that will give you the opportunity to be able to see and meet with us and schedule a time to go through a demo of the live site. Additionally, on our website, which is www.novareté.com, that's where you're able to see some of those resources that Becky was talking about, and you can request more information there or just email me directly. Everyone has my email, either of our emails.
I see someone, too, asked about the pricing of Novareté for that site that Brittany just mentioned, www.novareté.com. One of the tabs on there is pricing, and it's right out there for everybody to see. And I think when you look at it, you'll see how economical it is to roll this out to your employees. So, Brittany, Paul, and Mindy, anything else you wanted to say before we conclude here?
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Brittany.
Of course, and thank you all for joining us on the phone. We really appreciate you guys taking some time to learn more.
Great. Have a good rest of the day.